It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Rachel, Herczl, Rosenberg. We're here in your beautiful home in Narova, in Yerushalayim, in the Old City. And Rachel, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background, where your family came from.
The truth is that I haven't done it in English for a very, very long time. I will try my best. I was born, my parents were married 16 years and they didn't have children. My father went to rabbis, my mother went to both Carlsbad and Marienbad, and they were, and then I was born. Afterwards, a year and a half later, they had a little boy, but at that time you didn't have antibiotics, and when he was a year and a half old, he died. I don't really remember him. I remember some kind of a silhouette, but he's going to be written on my gravestone.
In many years to come.
Whenever. Yeah.
Where were you born?
Beg your pardon, I was born in 29. I am 92 and a quarter.
Wow. And Rachel, in which city? In which town?
Okay, that wasn't a town. It was a village by the name of Bitsent Mihai. And when I was almost 7, my father was teaching Gemara, Huaya Melamed. And we went to Tokaj, and there actually I grew up from the age of 7 till 15, till it happened what happened. My mother was like in Mea Sharim, no hair, covered up to here. My father was a real great, not because, listen, I could say that we were rich, but we were not. Mm-hmm. But he was a real great Talmid Chacham. I never went to sleep that I haven't seen him learning, and I never woke up when he wasn't sitting and learning. I just felt the Kedusha in the air. They gave me a lot of love, after so many years to have a child. But there was not one day that my mother didn't speak about the little boy. To have after so many years a child. So I'm sorry. At that time, people didn't age as I am. I mean, who lived till 92? Today also you can't see too many people at this age. I only remember one grandfather. My grandmother died when I was 3. I don't really remember him. I heard that she had blue eyes and she was a lovely woman, and that's all what I know. And my grandfather was wearing a shtreimel. He came from Poland. When he died, my father said, remember that he was a great Talmid Chacham. That's more or less, and all the people lived in Bitsent Mihai. My mother's sisters and their children. It was lovely. So whenever I went there to visit, I was very happy. I didn't have brothers or sisters, so it was really very nice for me. Cousins were like sisters and brothers. And then in Tokaj, I love Tokaj. Tokaj is a beautiful city or whatever you call it. One side, the Carpathian Mountains, on the other side, 2 rivers meet. And in the middle, there is a little town, a small one. I had a happy childhood. I had a lot of love, but during the time, it started all sorts of anti-Jewish legislations. Like they had nothing what to do with anything else. I mean that soldiers were marching and singing anti-Jewish songs or something to make fun of Jews. I still remember the song. I can't sing, and you people don't know Hungarian, so. And all sorts of rules, like most of the Jews were little shopkeepers. So a Jew is not allowed to sell a certain something. So, and then something else. So slowly nobody went into a Jewish shop. On Sundays, the priest or whatever in the churches, they were religious Catholics. I think they did it in the name of Christianity. I was always afraid that my father with a beard and peot, not like here, but that he is going to be beaten up. So on Sundays, if I could, I went instead of him if he had to go somewhere. And you know, but the belief was so strong that Shelohim Yazor, God is going to help. So some people say the Hungarians were stupid. They saw or they heard. I didn't. Can you imagine today? I can't. Even I was there. That people can do something like this? It's unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. So that's the way the days passed by. I went to school. I was happy at school.
Was it a Jewish school?
It was a Jewish school. The government paid for it, and only Jewish children. But we had to learn everything what in the Hungarian learned. I mean the Christians. But we learned to daven, and we learned a bit of Jewish history. I don't remember much more. Besides this, there was some kind of a Beit Yaakov there in the afternoon, and I asked my parents I would like to go, and there we learned some German and some Yiddishkeit. Not that I had to, I had it from home. I really had, you know that we had 2 tables in the kitchen. One a milk table and a meat table. באמת, זה פשוט לא... Yeah, כן. Then it came a new rule with a yellow star. I remember I was walking, I don't know, I went to a shop or something. At that time I was already 15. And a guy, a non-Jew, just into my face, and he said, "You got jaundice?" He was drunk. I could feel. The Germans came in before Pesach. They looked like people. So somehow it made us feel, I don't know how my parents felt, and I don't know what they knew. You know, I always had a belief. It was very strong. If I tell you that the exact, it's not exactly...
it's okay. Fine.
I used to daven on a Shabbat, all the prayers. Women didn't go to shul, only Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But I used to daven and the whole Tehillim. And after every day of the Tehillim, I used to say the names of the cousins. All the young people, the men, were sent to Russia, to labor camps. Most of them didn't come back. Okay. Pesach, it wasn't a happy Pesach. We didn't know what to expect. And a day after Pesach, there was a drummer. If the Iria, how you say Iria?
The city council.
City council wanted the people to, they let them know something. Then a drummer came, and the of the voice of the drum, people came out of the houses, and what did he have to say? The Jews are not allowed to leave their homes. So we went in. I asked my father, מה עושים? What did we do? We spoke Yiddish at home. And he said, we daven. So I said, what do we say? He said, we noam. And then we saw, they were called the Gendarmeria. I don't know if you know what it means. It's like police, but with an elegant hat, and Jews with pakalach, with small, walking, we didn't know where. We were not the first ones whom they took, but eventually they came to us also, and they said, don't take too much, you'll get it when you come back. And we just took whatever we took, I can't remember what. They collected all the Jews from the place, from Tokaj, in the yard of the shul. There was the shul, the Beit HaMidrash, the mashcheta, the cheder, the school, everything was one yard, and we were there, all the Jews, for a week. A week. And then always on a Shabbat. Usually they tried, because they knew the Jews don't really want to travel on Shabbat. They sent goyim with agalot, with carriages, whatever you call it. And
like wagons. Wagons.
Wagon, okay. That people, to collect them. My father said that till the eldest Jew is not living on Shabbat, he's not leaving. And eventually he also came, and we were in one, and they took us to another place, and from there with a train to Ghetto Merkazi, where all the Jews from the surrounding were there. We were there for a month. In one room we were, us and another family. There my father had to take off his beard. I remember him bringing it, showing me like in a bowl. He never touched his beard before. And I wrote some poems. I just had to express my feelings. Some young people, were walking around, and I was looking out of the window, and I thought, how can they? They were laughing, People have belief. Not only believe, young people, the way they are thinking is different. We were there for a month.
Do you remember the name of the
Of
town?
the place?
Of the place?
Yes, Shatoroya Uihei. Sure, I remember. And then they took us. We were the first transport. And I can't remember how many, but at least 60 people they put into a carriage.
It's like a cattle truck. A
cattle train.
Cattle train.
It has a small little window, and we took some food with us, but we didn't take water. And there was some kind of a clay, to
like
make
a vessel,
yeah. And if you could sit down and you got up, you couldn't sit down anymore. It was packed. Not only that, but it was also, I don't know if people got mad because of the situation. But later I heard that in Sátoralja Újhely there was a Beit Meshugaim Yehudi,
a mental place.
Yeah, for Jews, and apparently they were also taken. And I don't think there was any one carriage where there wasn't somebody who was Meshuggah, who was not all right. We had no idea where we are going. We had no idea, and we had no water. So if you don't drink, you can't eat. So at least you didn't have to use that thing what they put there for a toilet. Later on I heard that my mother said to somebody, if they are going to divide us, she won't be able to survive. I can't remember, it was 3 days or 4 days we were traveling, and we arrived somewhere. We had no idea where we are. And but they opened the, how did you say?
The cattle track.
The cattle track. And they say, schnell, schnell, quickly, get out, leave everything, you'll get it later. And some Jews from Poland with striped clothes were walking there, and in Yiddish they were actually, if they would have been caught, I think they would be murdered. They said, "Geht's the Kinder zu die Kleine, zu die Alte, give the children to the old ones." But we didn't know why and what. I don't think there were too many people who gave their children to the old ones. I had a cousin with 8 children. Her husband died in Russia, and she was taken with 8 children. The eldest girl was 1 year younger than me. I want to show you some. Wait, can you stop? Here is the track, and here are the people who are getting out. Here are the Germans, and here are the Jews. Here are the Jews with the striped things. Okay, I always, before I had this picture, I always used to say that we were a lot of people, but for me it was only my parents and me. We were standing there, not even talking, and then they said men in one way and women in another. And my father didn't move. And they said it again, and it started to go. Now I'm going to say it in Yiddish, and I will translate. And I said, "Tata, me truk dich weg. Dad, they are taking you." And he said to me, you can take a picture of this later. Eine Sache sollst du nicht vergessen. Der Eibischter ist jeden a Tate. One thing don't forget, that the one who is above us, because we didn't say God's name for Bechinam, for nothing.
For nothing.
And that wasn't nothing. That wasn't nothing. That he is everybody's father. These were the last words, what he said to me, but then I didn't know that I'm not going to see him anymore. And then I was still with my mother. And the German asked me, wie alt bist du? How old are you? And I didn't answer, because I saw that on the other side, people are drinking water. And I was very thirsty, and as you see in the picture, it was a lot of people, it was a balagan. And when I came back, my mother was calling me, and I was going to go. She was on the other side. You know, there were 2 sides, one for a living and one for the death. But we didn't know. She was calling me, but one Jewish boy, a Polish Jew, got hold of me And he said to me, we all talked in Yiddish. Don't worry. For the old people is much better. They get better food and they don't have to work. And you will see her. And till my mother, I could see her, he didn't let me go. He actually saved my life. But I didn't know it then. And poor woman, that's what she saw, that a strange man is holding on to me and doesn't let me go. That's what she saw. That was the last time.
The last time you ever saw her?
Yeah. Now we were taken to have a bath, and they took the hair from all of us, and from everywhere, and men were walking around, and we were naked, religious, we were not used to this sort of thing, and they gave us some gray clothes. We didn't know it then, but for my mother and for all of them, instead of the water, they opened the gas. I don't know how people could do it. I still don't know how people could do it. But anyway, it was planned. And it was planned like the Germans can plan. They took us to a block. In the block, there was a lot of people. We were in Lager A. And it was a noise. And the person who was responsible for the block, she was called the Blockertester, the one who... And she said, what is this noise? And she knew Hungarian, she was from Czechoslovakia. She said, what is the big noise? You should know that nobody is alive, only who is here. And we thought, she's mad. I mean, how is it possible? We just saw them. And then they divided us into, I don't know how you call it in English. It was like instead of beds.
Bunks.
Okay. Obviously without mattresses and without anything. And they gave us something a soup in one dish for everybody. We were about 6 or 7 on every bunk. It didn't have a very good taste. Later I learned that they put brom in it to calm us down. They wanted quiet. And they gave us bread. It was like soap. So the first day I didn't eat it. But boy, would I eat it later if I just would have had what to eat. I was actually hungry the whole year. Okay, so we are about 6 gamken, lying kacha. In the morning, they count us, like it would be very important that we are there. Lines of 5, and sometimes for hours. Winter or summer, we were standing there in one dress till the German came to count us. The first day I saw an SS woman. And I thought, it's a woman, I go ask her what's going on here. But I was lucky that an older person went up to her, apparently the same question, and she got beaten up. So that was my first lesson, that here you don't ask questions.
And you saw her being beaten up?
Yeah. That went on for about 2 weeks. I was lucky that they left my shoes, because most of the people, the shoes were also taken, and they gave them wooden shoes. Why did they leave it? Because I was dying that my parents would buy me in the shop with shiny shoes, but they always went to a shoemaker and to make me strong shoes. Actually, maybe it saved me, you know. I had this once it was stolen during the time, but then I found it somehow. Yeah.
Rachel, can I just ask, this was Auschwitz that you were taken to?
I'm talking about Birkenau in the meantime.
Oh, this is Birkenau.
Birkenau.
This is Birkenau.
This is Birkenau. This is Birkenau, and there was the crematorium. Now, after a few days, some girls whom we knew were working with the clothes that we brought, and the crematorium was nearby. And they came to the block in the evening, and they told us what they saw, what's happening. And then we realized that people are not alive anymore. But I still didn't know what happened to my father. I think that was the reason, one of the reasons I survived. Because I was hoping the whole time that maybe he is alive. I was given a number. You can't see, it's wrinkled.
You remember the number?
Yeah, I learned it the first day. I thought, and I don't know why, I didn't realize it's going to stay with me. It's an English A, 6766. I learned it because I was not Rosenberg at the time there.
You're not a number.
I was a number. If they wanted me, they didn't call me by name, they called my number.
And you remember who tattooed it onto you?
Yeah, sure.
Was it a Yiddisher who did the tattoo?
I can't remember who. I suppose so. Everything they had to do. I don't know.
And Rachel, can I just ask?
Yeah.
The German who asked you how old you were, did you know who the
No.
German?
I don't know, but I didn't answer. I understood him. We learned German. That was the second language in Hungary.
And did you ever see Mengele?
Maybe it was him, but I don't know. I don't know who it was. I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know who the Jew was who saved me. I have got no idea. So, after a while, we were chosen 20 girls, and we went to Auschwitz every morning. That's about 3 kilometers. And the evening we came back. We worked on the fields and in gardens of SS. At the gate, there was music, Jewish musicians, and we had to walk according to the music. SS with a dog and a pistol, or whatever you call it, was walking with us and back. And he was with us the whole time. There actually, first of all, we didn't see the black sky. We didn't feel the burning, because you actually could. So that was for quite a while. During the summer, we were working there, but in the evenings we went back. I still don't know how some Jews knew when the Chagim were, because I knew when Shabbat was, because on Sundays we didn't work. Because otherwise, you know, a day and a day and another day. Okay. Here is my, I had to sign. Here is Margit Rosenberg. Here is my number, A676, Margit Rosenberg. Here is the money, I don't know exactly how much. And Rosenberg Margit, I had to sign. I never saw any, listen, even if they would have paid, I wouldn't have what to do with it, but they never paid. Apparently this is the money, but they were supposed to pay.
And that's your signature?
Huh?
That is your signature?
Yeah, here, this is my signature.
How did you get it?
Somebody sent it to me from America. Rega Efani po. Rosenberg Margit.
And that is the number that you had?
And here is my number. Here is my name written again. And here is apparently the money what I was supposed to get.
And Rachel, can I see what you have on your arm?
No, it is,
was from
listen, it's wrinkled.
Rachel, thank you so much. Wow, that is incredible. Wow.
Okay.
How did you react when you saw this?
Huh?
How did
Didn't
you
remember that at all. And somebody sent it to me. Okay.
Wow.
I didn't remember before, but I remember now that the yeshiva where my father learned was Hunsdorf. And there he wrote what he wrote.
Rachel, this is what your father said to you.
Eine Sach sollst du nicht vergessen. Der Eibischter ist jeden a Tate.
And underneath you have the Yahrzeit.
Kaf Zayin Be'iyar. I have to really look at soon. And then when winter started to come, we were taken to, again, you had to stand naked, and they were coming to see, like, I had some kind of a sore on my stomach, and you had to put your clothes on one side, everybody on the same side, and I put it on the other side to cover. And I remember, I don't know if she was Jewish or not, I think she was, a doctor. She picked up the clothes and put it back. And that's how I arrived to Auschwitz. It was for a very short time, but it was, the situation was much better than in Birkenau. Can you imagine that we had a blanket? Everybody had a blanket. We were working in a matpera where people were correcting clothes. But not that was a short while, because we heard already the Russians. We heard the shooting. I even said to a friend of mine that maybe we should hide between the clothes, but she didn't have the guts, and so I didn't. And we were, no, but I forgot something very important. Some girls were working in a factory of ammunition, and they stole some ammunition. And they sent it to the people in Birkenau, to the people who work in the crematorium. And they blew up the crematorium. It was a bit too late, and then it stopped the killing. But the girls were caught, and we had to watch. We had to stand there and to watch. 2 were hung in the morning and 2 in the evening, that people who should see who work in the morning and people who work at night. I remember one girl, they told us to look. I mean, you can't do with anybody, to look to a certain place if you don't want to. But I saw the girl walking towards the place. She was a beautiful girl, and she was so proud. So, Then they gave us afterwards a bigger piece of bread, and I don't exactly know what. For Christmas, they gave us some good food. The first time in my life I had some potatoes with beef. And I don't have to tell you that I didn't eat if I got something from somebody, but whatever I got from them, I ate. Once a boy gave me 2 slices of bread, and it was some kind of a fat in it. And I didn't know what it was. And I changed it for a piece of dry bread. So he saw it, and he said, for such a stupid girl, he's never going to give again. It's all right. They took us for the Dead March. That was in January, the beginning of January. It was very cold.
This is 1945.
And we were 25, and we were not very well dressed. I don't know exactly for how long, but more or less about 2 weeks we were walking. If somebody didn't say that I can't, there was one German who was actually quite decent, and he said, maybe you want to try. And the person said no. So they said, stand aside, and we just heard the shooting. They didn't leave anybody alive. And the first day, they gave us something, as I said, the bread, but I put it, I don't know, somehow in some kind of a schmatte, I put it on my back, and I lost it, or somebody took it, I don't know. But some people gave me to eat, I don't exactly know who. On the way, I met a cousin, and I was very happy to see somebody from the family, and we stayed together to the end. She's not alive anymore. That was the Dead March. From Poland to Germany in January. We arrived to Ravensbrück. Obviously, we were lying on the floor, and when you woke up, on one side somebody was dead, on the other side somebody was dead. It was just a normal situation, because people just couldn't care. On the way I got, we were lots of people together, I got lice. Not in my hair, they were small, as my hair was still very small, but in my clothes. We were there, my cousin, I have to tell you this, she's not alive, but I have to say, she had some kind of a dish, and the Germans were cooking some coffee outside with open fire, and she put in the dish into that coffee, and if they would not caught her, I don't think they would leave her alive. You know, that coffee was so nice. I haven't had anything warm or sweet for weeks. Yeah. That was in Germany already. We were there about a week, and from there, in open carriages, they took us to Neustadt-Glewe. By then, we were already quite in a bad state. There we didn't work anymore. If we got little food during all the year, there it was almost nothing. So far so that when I got freed, I was 25 kilos. If it would last another few days, I don't think I would have made it. Then one day, and I have to tell you also that with my cousin, so we had some kind of a schmatte coat. she and me too. So one we put on the floor, and the other one, the two of us, covered each other at night. And that's it. We heard the Germans, the Russians already. We heard them. And we didn't know where they are or what's happening. I mean, we didn't have a radio or newspaper or anything. One day, and there also we had to stand, Zählerpell, they're counting us. There also, during Zählerpell, people just dropped dead. It was normal. It was, you didn't even take it to heart. You didn't think you are going to, I'm going to survive. One day, a girl comes into the place and says, that's quite amazing. The Russians are counting the Germans. They are standing in a row and they are counting. Then we realized that we are actually free. But I had no strength to get up. I remember myself sitting in a corner there in a room, and I thought to myself, okay, what do you do now? Where do you go? Then about 60 girls and boys decided that we go back to Hungary to see who is alive. We still had hope. We started, the Russians were not very nice, not like the Americans or the English. Lots of people died because they were eating and their stomach couldn't take it. They didn't worry about us at all. Later on, they took us to work. It was much easier to take a group of people instead of going to Germans and take one person from here and one person from there. But I got very sick. And my cousin was afraid, that in Germany, the Germans, if somebody was sick, he was killed. I said I couldn't care. Every few days I had very high temperature and my bones were very sore. It took quite a while. I remember a woman was with me, and once I heard her saying she's afraid to go in, she find me not alive. So actually it took us, listen, we didn't have money, we didn't have a car, and it took, from May, it took till November that we arrived to Hungary. It's a long time.
But can I just ask, how did you feel when you were liberated? When
I can't answer you. I'm telling you, what I felt is, I don't know where do I go now and what do I do with my freedom. I didn't have courage to move. I didn't have the strength. By then I was 16. Arrived to Budapest. The first thing was I went to see the list, people who came back, and my father wasn't there. Then I had many questions, Lama, why? And where was God? But I was alone. And I got a very religious upbringing. And you had nobody else, just him. If you lose him too, so what do you have? So first I went to our village, to Tokaj. The guy didn't let me in. But there were a few Jews there, and one told us that there are Sifrei Kodesh in an empty Jewish home. Listen, I knew the books. I didn't have to look for the name because he used them. But I didn't have how to take it and where to take it. Wow. See, I can't sit too much.
Yeah.
My back is not liking me very much. But anyway, I haven't done it in English for a long time.
You're doing amazing. Wow.
So, don't look at this. Don't look at that, because somebody took away this book. And I'm just telling you, and I was really upset. That's the only thing what I have from home. It was a machberet what my father. Okay, you can.
Was this the original?
I won't remember now the name. The yeshiva. Bye. It's a bad story. I might find it later on here. And I found what he wrote when he was in
This is what your father wrote?
Yeah, when he was in the yeshiva. Okay.
And this is your his book?
Listen, I remember the handwriting, this handwriting. But that was when he was a child. This is the handwriting. He wrote a Herczl for a bar mitzvah boy. So.
And these are the original. This is the
original, and I tell you, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. Because if it's going to stay like this, it's not good. Because it has to be, I don't know, anyway. So that's the only thing I took. I went to a Jewish person. Don't look at this.
Because it was redone.
Okay, Misha who, okay. I don't know where I was.
So you saw that they had religious books?
I went to a Jewish person and I said, listen, I can't take the books. I'm very sorry that I didn't, but I didn't know. I walked from there to another place, and in the meantime my shoes shrank because it was wet, and I put them to get warm, and when I got up, I couldn't wear them anymore, so I was barefoot. Then I went back to Britannia, where all my cousins were. I was the youngest survivor, and they were really very nice to me. None of them alive anymore. Listen, yeah.
But did you manage to take these pages?
This I took.
That you took.
I remember this book that my mother said once, maybe one day it's going to be a book. And actually I did make a book out of it, not from the whole thing. I bring the whole thing now, I'm not going to get up many times. Okay. A part of it. And somebody gave me the idea, his name was Chaim, to say, Sherit Chaim, what is left of him. Okay. That's for the children and the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. So, okay. Here, I didn't have in Auschwitz an exercise book or a pencil. At home, as a child, if I got, the teacher gave me to write something, so I wrote it in like a poem. And I remember them. And I went into a German home. And in the beginning, here it's German writing. And there from what I remembered, I wrote down and I carried on writing. And I did publish it.
At what age did you do this?
Depends. It could be when I was 10 or 11, I don't know. But later on I still have a lot of poems, but no, I'm not writing anymore. And
is this the original?
This is the original from Germany. What I found, because in Auschwitz or Birkenau I didn't have an exercise book or a pencil. Nachon? Here is in Hebrew, this is in English and this is Hebrew. The English translation is not very good. It's my fault because I took her. If you want one, you can have one. The Hebrew one, אני שומרת, מכיוון you know, I want them for my great-grandchildren. So I don't have too many.
So this is a picture of you.
Huh?
That's a picture of you.
That was there afterwards. It could have been 19, I can't remember. I didn't have any pictures from before. We had not too many even before. And you know what I would have given for a picture from my parents? I had nothing. About the whole time, my eldest daughter, Tova, you know her, she was nagging me. She said, you have something in your mind, you remember something, we have nothing. And so, after 50 years of Auschwitz, she brought me somebody here, חוזר בתשובה, כן, with ציציות בחוץ, Ghibli, his name, and he was working in the police. He's very good, but he made me mad, really mad. But this is the result. That's not, listen, that hat wasn't this hat. I'm talking about the people on top, on top. And the beard was longer, and he didn't wear a shirt like this. He made a whole, yeah.
And the people below?
But it's similar.
And the people below?
The people below, one is my late husband's grandfather, and the other are the parents.
I'm just gonna, wow, so this is what you remember. If I can take it off.
But you have to put it back.
I'll put it back with
because
sure.
I can't.
I'll put it back with pleasure. So this you had somebody to do.
But you see, from far it's better. From far it's better. Okay. That's all what I have. Nothing.
And Rachel, can I just ask, when you went back to your home, did you go back to your house?
Yeah, I told you that the guy didn't let me in.
He didn't let you in?
He didn't let me in.
And you told him this is your home?
I don't remember what I said, but he didn't let me in. That's all. And that's it.
It must have been very difficult for you to go in your own home and you're not allowed in.
You know what? The whole suffering, not that I would hurt any German. I wouldn't. I wouldn't hurt anybody. But I would forgive them for all the suffering, but not for the killing. Yeah. Not for the killing. You know, in Birkenau, they murdered more than 500,000 children. Yeah. I'm not talking about adults and my parents, and my whole, no aunts, no uncles, and all. I mean, all in all, 10 cousins with me together survived from the whole family. So, I heard them talk in the home, at home, that if I would be a bit older and I would have a profession, maybe I could earn a slice of bread. I overheard them talking. So I thought that's what they want me to do. So I went to learn a half a year sewing. But I didn't, I mean, I can't sew and it's not for me. And then I went to Beit Sefer Beit Yaakov in Budapest. That was like a seminar for teachers and gananot. And there I learned till the time I came to Israel. When the Russians started to overtake in Hungary and they were marching with the red flag, I thought I heard the Hungarian marching and singing, and that must be enough.
So how old were you when you came here?
I changed, actually I falsed my birth certificate because I wasn't a youth anymore. I was over 18. I was 19. And yeah.
And what year did you come to?
In 48. My late husband, we were not, I knew him, but there was nothing between us. He came to fight here. He lost 5 sisters and a brother and a father and the rest of the family. He never spoke. I did. There were 2 sisters who died, his sisters, because the Germans, before they ran away, they poisoned the bread. And they knew that people are hungry, and they died of eating poisoned bread.
And he came from Hungary as well, your husband?
Say it again?
He came from Hungary as well?
He was from Hungary, and he came to fight here. He became, as he came, he said, they gave me a rove, how you say a rove?
It's like a gun.
A gun, and they gave me a blanket. The rove was my parnasa, and the gun was my parnasa, and the rove and the blanket was my home. So.
And what month did you come in 48? What month? Was it after?
No, he came much earlier.
And when you came in 48?
I came at the end. I came in December.
So the country had already been
the country, I was in Budapest when I heard the little boy shouting. They announced there's a Jewish country. Yeah, it was a miracle. I just hope it's going to be all right, and we will be all right with each other also.
And Herczl, did you used to relate your story to your children when they were growing up?
Yeah, and I go to schools.
But your children, when they were growing up, you used to tell them about your experiences?
Yeah.
And
not like this, one after the other, but on and off the whole time. But he didn't speak. But he wrote a book, Anatzrut Veshoat Yudei Hungaria. And he died a long time ago. He was 66.
Wow, that's so young.
Yeah, and New York University published it, Christianity and the Holocaust of the Hungarian Jewry.
Wow.
And in Ivrit, and I have got it in Hungarian too. But he died before I passed. But I promised him. I didn't promise 3, but can.
Was he a scholar?
He was a very clever boy. First, there is a saying from a yeshiva boy, everything can be. In South Africa, he got a doctorate. He worked on Agnon, and I don't know why he married me, but that's another story.
Because you're so special. And where did he work in Israel?
He was first a teacher, then a principal, and he was very intelligent, באמת. Yeah.
And Rachel, this is always, I think, one of the most hardest questions, but having known that your parents were killed in such a...
After I knew.
When did you find out about your mother and your...
Yeah, my mother, I found out not long after I arrived. But you know, you were so busy. First of all, you didn't believe it. And then you were so busy with being hungry and being cold and being whatever, that you were busy trying to survive. So, I don't know how to say it. But then when I came home, I remember crying my eyes out for a long time. Yeah. But I didn't, listen, I'm not as I was. I'm not trying to say that I'm saying the whole Tehillim the whole week. I mean, on Shabbat. But I have a kosher home, and I keep Shabbat. I have still questions, but I don't have answers.
But you kept your emunah, you kept your faith.
But not as it was, not as it was. I would lie if I say like it was. No.
But your children grew up religious.
Oh yes, I say to them, if people can daven from heart, it's good for them. I don't know how far God needs the nudging, bemet.
Yeah.
But it's good for the people. It was good for me. It was. Any other questions?
What advice do you give your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren? And what advice would you give to everybody? I mean, you've gone through such Gehenna, such hell, and you've seen the worst of the worst. And look, you smile and you're happy and...
Happy? No. Happiness is a big word.
Okay, but you have such a wonderful, way about you.
Happiness is
Rachel.
a big word.
I know. But you.
I have a sadness in me all the time. That I smile, not that I put on a show,
Sure.
but no. It is with me all the time to think of it that they made dust out of my parents and out of 6 million Jews. I mean,
It's inconceivable.
it is.
Totally
I
inconceivable.
was there, and you actually can't believe it. I saw once a film, I don't think that's Shayach, how they prepared. They were given instructions, and how they thought not to use too much gas, not to, And then afterwards they went, had a cup of coffee or had a cup of tea, and they went home, maybe they were even good fathers,
But Rachel, what message do you give to the future generation?
Only one thing. First of all, I was just now, they published a book on me, not on me, but the pupils wrote to me, a school. And so I had to speak. I tell you, I didn't know they made such a big balagan out of it, and I was, But I finished with it, and I said, I'm going to say a sentence, and you say it with me. Say it afterwards. Elohim yevarech et Am Yisrael. And they said it. I said, I can't hear it properly. So they said it again. Elohim yevarech et Medinat Israel. Look after this little country. Because if we would have had a country at the time, it wouldn't have happened. Just see Roosevelt. There was a boat from Germany. He didn't let them in.
It was St. Louis.
Huh?
I actually met a survivor. It was from the St. Louis.
No, yeah.
They wouldn't let it in.
They were sent back to Germany.
Yeah. So Tova, I just want to mention your daughter Tova. For you, it must give tremendous satisfaction to know that you have a daughter who was the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador to Lithuania and to South Africa.
I tell you.
It must have given
I
you
have
such
three
nachas,
daughters.
such.
I have 3 daughters. They are all nice. They're all clever. They take after their father.
They take off the mother as well.
No.
But also, I think
And I have a home.
you have grandchildren
No,
that have gone back to Germany with the March of the Living, or to Poland.
I have some. I have not many, because in the meantime here, a granddaughter was murdered in a pigua. You know.
I know.
You know Abner Franklin?
Sure.
You know. Yeah. Here is the
I
picture.
know.
There.
So you've had a lot of.
You want to, this is the picture.
So this was your granddaughter who was in a.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
unfortunately killed in a pigua here. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Like you can be so proud of your daughters and of your family.
listen, it's not pride. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I was an only child, and not only that I have a continuation and my late husband, but my parents. They are not around, but there is a continuation.
And Rachel, have you had grandchildren that have gone back to Poland as soldiers and?
I had not too many, but I had. One was contemplating if to go when it happened. So I said, you have your own Shoah, you don't have to go. Once I wasn't over happy about people going. Why to make them earn money on them? But today that the survivors die slowly, not so slowly, I think it's good that they should go. Yeah, there is a big difference though. People go in and they can get out.
Yeah.
If I went in, I couldn't get out.
Sure. Well, Rachel, I must tell you, this has been something absolutely. There are no words. There really are no words. I just want to thank you. I mean, just come through here.
Are you sure you don't want a cup of coffee or something?
Rachel, what I do want to do is I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, really. This has been absolutely, there are no words. It's been extraordinary. Your story, to see such a beautiful girl, and the book that you did, and wow, it's just unbelievable. And you should just have mazel and bracha, and you can be so proud, and your family is proud, and your parents are proud.
As you mentioned, pride and happy, these are both.
You deserve.
No, I am.
All of Hashem's blessings.
I am grateful.
Yeah.
I am grateful. I don't think I should be proud, and I should be happy about it. But there is always a sadness in me.
No, it's understandable, for sure. But that you've raised a family, that you've raised.
No, listen,
something
I say it
unbelievable.
every day. Once I learned a few words lately that I say it in Hebrew because this time I wrote it in Hebrew, the rest was written in Hungarian. Ech nifredim מאהוביי. איך בוחרים את הדרך להתהלך בה, ואיך אומרים תודה על המשפחה היפה שהתברכתי בה. שנדע.
So Rachel, could you translate for our listeners?
אולי כבר לא נדע. זהו. I think this is a good ending.
Could you translate it in English for our listeners?
It's difficult for me. איך נפרדים? How do you depart from loved ones? How do you choose your way to go? I mean, you have got, this is not an exact translation, but there is a certain spot where you want to arrive. And there are two ways. And you don't know which way is better. And you don't know which one to choose. And how do you say thanks for this beautiful family that I was blessed with?
Well, thank you. I want to thank you. I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Really.
I'd like to hear it, a little bit.
With pleasure. Rachel, thank you so, so much.
But you see, I don't have any way to listen to.
I will show to you, but Rachel, really, you are somebody that we can all, mamash, we can all strive to emulate. Really, you are a dogma, an example, which is just unbelievable.
I think you are giving me too many compliments.
Not at all, not at all. Rachel, thank you very, very much.